Welcome to On the Prowl, The Fine Line, episode 31. I'm your host, Bill. We're going to take a look at the Panthers' remaining schedule for the month of April. We're going to take a look and see where they'll be playing this week. We're also going to take a look at the standings in both the Atlantic and Metropolitan divisions, take a look and see who's hot, also who is still out of the lineup for the Panthers, and where things will be when they return. So without any further ado, let's kick things off. Now let's take a look here at the month of April. Now there are 9 games remaining in the month of April. There are 5 away and 4 home. Currently, the Panthers this week, we're going to take a look at that right now. They're going to be playing the Montreal Canadiens tomorrow night at 7 o'clock up in Montreal. On Wednesday, April the 2nd, they're going to be playing Toronto up in Toronto at 7:30 p.m. And on April the 5th, on Saturday, they're going to be playing Ottawa at 2 o'clock. Now, they do have, unfortunately, they have some back-to-backs coming up, and we're going to talk about that here in a minute. Now, as we all know, of course, things are very tight in the Atlantic Division. And these standings are as of today, March 31st, 2025. Now, right now, the Maple Leafs are because of their win against the Kings the other day, they have 94 points. The Lightning, because of their win, they're at 91 points. And technically, the tiebreaker with the Panthers and the Lightning own the tiebreaker because the Panthers lost yesterday. They are at 91 points as well. So technically, we sit in third place in the Atlantic Division. Now, in the Metropolitan Division, the Capitals have pretty much run away with it, already securing a playoff spot. They're at 103 points. They've been playing incredibly well all season long this year. The Hurricanes are also playing well. The Devils have really picked things up and are playing well too. And you can see the Rangers and Blue Jackets and Islanders are kind of vying for that wild card spot right there. And things are going to be very interesting here in the division. And for us in our division as well, the Canadians and the Senators are going to be vying, and also the Red Wings as well, for that wild card spot. So things are going to be very interesting coming up here in the next couple of weeks. So it's going to be these games. I'm going to tell you this: these games are going to be close, tight-knit games. You're not going to see any blowouts. It's going to be very close to the vest. People have, teams have a lot of vested interest at stake in terms of trying to be able to make the playoffs. But this is where things are right now. Now, one of the other things that I wanted to take a look to, and these are two teams that have consistently played well the past several weeks. The Capitals, now granted that they just have just come off of a loss to Minnesota. I did see that, and that was a great game. And also kudos to Ovi in that game as he brought the rest of his team back out on the ice to kind of say a farewell to Marc-Andre Fleury. That was great news. The one team I have seen has just been playing just some incredible hockey has been the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Bolts have been blowing some people away. I think they blew Utah away the other night, 8-0. There was a recent game where they won, I believe, 6-0. I went to a game earlier this year against San Jose, and they won that game. I think they won that game 8-1. They've been blowing people away, and they are playing some incredibly good hockey right now, heading into the playoffs. They are building up ahead of steam, which is a good thing. There's nothing bad to be said about that. But with the title of this podcast, The Fine Line, you want to play consistently well heading into the playoffs. And I think these are two teams that are. I don't think either one of them is really kind of pushing things. Although the way Tampa's playing, I mean, they are just absolutely hot right now. So the kind of remains to be seen. We'll take a look and see how things end up. But this is how I see things are for these two teams right now. They are playing very well. These are kind of teams that I would watch out for. Now, one of the things that Washington is currently vying right now with the Jets as far as the most points is concerned, and they get the President's Trophy, and they'll get home ice advantage throughout the playoffs. And that seems to be more of a curse than a blessing. I know the last time I think the Capitals did it, they bowed out early in the playoffs. Of course, we all know what happened a couple of years ago when the Panthers did as well too. So we'll kind of go from there. We all know that there are several Panthers that are out of the lineup, and we're going to focus on obviously the three that are out of the lineup right now. Dmitry Kulikov. Now, Jameson Olive from the Panthers reported from Paul Maurice. He said more than likely Dmitry Kulikov will be available the last week of the season. Now, does that mean the last two games of the year, against the Rangers and then the away game against Tampa, or will it be next week? Not this week, but next week he'll be available. That remains to be seen. So stay tuned for that. He is a very valuable piece to the defense. He, as you can see here, he's logging close to 20 minutes of ice time a game, averaging 16, 17, somewhere, almost 19, 20 minutes a game. So he does add a lot to the lineup in terms of ice presence, and is on there, and penalty killing, and just being a part of the defensive core. He's been there time and time again, and his second go around, he's playing very well. He's a seasoned veteran. He knows how to play. The playoffs coming up, so it's going to be good to get him back, and we're all really kind of looking forward to that as well. You can't really say and quantify what Matthew Tkachuk means to the Florida Panthers. You can take a look at, these are the stats that are down there for the last 5 games before, obviously, the Four Nations break and when he got hurt. But and a lot of times you can't even quantify his stance on here to show how valuable he is to the team. And you could see how he played in Four Nations is probably a great example. He wears his emotions on his sleeve, and he got Team USA fired up, and they won, and they played a great game. And he brings the same for the Panthers. And I think that's one of the things I've noticed recently that has been missing from them is, we see emotions when they score goals and at the end of the game, and when they win games and when they win close games, but he's getting people fired up. He's getting them ready to play. And I think the Panthers are really missing that. I think that's an X factor that the Panthers really need, and are going to really need if they want to make a deep playoff run this year, is his presence. Now, it's kind of unknown at this time. He cannot come back until the playoffs because he's on long-term injured reserve, and that's per the NHL rules. So hopefully he's ready to come back when the playoffs hit. Now, the playoffs are going to start on April the 19th. Obviously, schedules have yet to be developed because standings are still pretty much, bouncing up and down from one day to the next. And we're not going to know until probably the last game or two of the year who we're going to be playing in the playoffs, and who's going to be lining up, and what games and dates and times and things like that will be set by the league. So, but the playoffs are going to start April 19th, and we're very hopeful that Matthew Tkachuk can be ready by that point in time. Now, unfortunately, with Aaron Ekblad, it's a very different situation with him because of his suspension for PEDs. He won't be available until Game 3 of the playoffs. So that's one of the things that the Panthers are going to have to continue to bite the bullet on. You could take a look here. One of the things, his last 5 games, the ice time he plays every night is just absolutely insane, and it's off the charts. And you can take a look at his last 5 games there and look at his time on the ice. It's incredible. And what he adds to that team, the dynamic he adds to the team as far as his, penalty killing capabilities, quarterbacking the power play, enough cannot be said about what Aaron Ekblad contributes to the Florida Panthers. Now, kudos to Seth Jones. He has picked up quite a bit of slack, which is good. But obviously, he's not Aaron Ekblad, and he's not going to fill his shoes like Aaron Ekblad fills his shoes. Seth Jones really didn't have a great game against Montreal yesterday. And that's to be expected. But all in all, I'm very pleased with how Seth Jones has played and has fit well into the Panthers lineup. I think he's done a great job, especially in terms of absence with Aaron Ekblad. He stepped up to the number 1 power play unit. You can see he scored a slap shot from the point yesterday, and it went in there, and that was a great goal that he scored yesterday. But unfortunately, we all know they lost yesterday. But all that, with all this being said, we're looking forward to this, And we're going to get to, my thoughts regarding, is this going to be a help here? Now, yesterday, Paul Maurice said after the game, we let a lot of offense die in the game. Maurice said, we playing a lot of tight games. That's the style of hockey we play. And he could not be further from the truth right now, because most of these games the Panthers have been playing have been 1 or 2 goal games. It's been rare as of late that it's more than a 2-goal differential either way, winning or losing these games. And a lot of these games have gone to overtime, and a lot of these games have gone to the shootout. And, it's just the nature of the beast right now, because teams are fighting and they're vying for playoff spots. Some thoughts here that I wanted to share with everybody is, and I think this is one thing, this is a very key, important point. Panthers still have not secured a playoff spot, are not there yet. They have to continue to play, to win, to get into the playoffs. They are not there yet. So hopefully they can accomplish that in short order. I think with probably maybe 3 or 4 wins, they could probably secure that playoff spot, but I'm not sure in terms of the number of points that they would need and so forth to do that. Now, the other thing here is the Panthers have 3 back-to-back games in April. That's a lot, okay? The schedule makers were not very kind to the Panthers when they set this schedule up. The first of those back-to-backs is in the middle of this week, Tuesday and Wednesday. Then we have Saturday and Sunday. And then coming up the next week, they have the other back-to-back. So, and they're rough on teams. But one of the things I think with Vitek Vanacek, I think we have a very capable backup goaltender. I'm very pleased with his performance. He's done a great job. That was a good acquisition by Bill Zito. Kudos to him for picking him up. And he's in a place where he has a team that can play defense in front of him. He did not have that when he was with San Jose. The third point here, wildcard teams are fighting for their playoff lives. And it's very true. They are scratching and clawing for every point that they can get right now. They are going to really push things. They're essentially playing playoff style hockey right now because they want to get into the playoffs. So playing against a team that's currently in a position and fighting for a wild card spot is going to be a tough game. And the Panthers are going to be playing the Senators, so they're going to have a tough game on their hands when they're playing them, and they're also going to be playing the Red Wings too. They have 2 games against the Red Wings, so those games will not be easy as well. Every game's going to be close going forward, absolutely. And with the dynamic of the wild card teams, but also everybody, still fighting for playoff position, because if we win the Atlantic Division, that makes a difference in terms of who we play. Right now, if we would win the Atlantic Division, the way things are, we would end up playing Ottawa in the playoffs. But if we fall to second, it would more than likely mean we would probably play either Tampa or Toronto in the playoffs. So, some old foes. But that all remains to be seen. But like I said, these games are going to be very close. There's not going to be a lot of margin for error during these games. And Paul has said it time and time again, the Panthers style play tight, close games, and it really does. When they're on their forecheck, and what they're doing that well, and I think that's a big key to the Panthers game, is establishing an aggressive forecheck from the onset of the game. When they do that, they have a tendency to do very well during those games. When they don't, when the other team gets them off that and maybe engages them in a little bit of a track meet like Montreal did yesterday, not so much. And that's one thing I think Paul really tries to preach to them, is to stick to fundamentals and to stick to our game plan, okay, with that tight, close-knit forechecking. And when you see them in the offensive zone, you rarely see, usually you might see 2 or 3 Panthers together. And that's something that you do want to see, because they're around the puck. When that happens, good things happen. So that's where we are as far as that's concerned. Now, will everything be better when Kulikov, Tkachuk, and Ekblad return to the lineup? If I had a crystal ball and I had the magic 8 ball, I'm sure it would say yes, it would. Okay, but that's an unknown. Now, we don't know. We know Kulikov's going to come back. Okay, we know Ekblad eventually is going to come back. Okay, Tkachuk is an unknown because we really haven't heard a whole lot about his status. We know it's a lower body injury. Most people suspect it's a groin pull, which I do as well. And he's been in a lot of, I've seen him. He was a recent autograph signing, and he's been out and about and doing things. So this isn't really hampering his mobility per se to get around. It's getting out on the ice. And when you have something like that, a groin pull, there's only one thing you can do, and you have to rest, and you have to wait that out. And that can be very frustrating, especially for a player like Matthew Tkachuk, because he's always on the go. He wants to move forward. He wants to be a part of the lineup. He wants to be a part of things. And I can imagine it's been very frustrating for him this season. So we'll see. Stay tuned. But we know for sure we will see Dmitry Kulikov back, according to Maurice, last week of the season. Aaron Ekblad will be back for game 3 of the playoffs. We know that will happen. And also, too, remember, especially with Aaron Ekblad and also with Matthew Tkachuk, they'll be well rested. They'll be ready to go. If given medical clearance for Matthew Tkachuk, they'll be ready to go for the playoffs. And I really see them putting the foot down on the pedal and really pushing things when the playoffs hit. So stay tuned for all of this. We have all this to look forward to. As always, guys, it's a great day for Florida Panthers hockey. Time to hunt.